Well, he was tremendous, no question. Every time he got the ball, he scored against Kansas. They're going to try and do something different on him here tonight.
Kansas 14 wins in this tournament. They won the first 3 years of the Big 12 tournament. And for the Missouri Tigers, they are a number 6 seed again. This is the 5th time in 8 Big 12 tournaments that Missouri comes in as a number 6 seed. They've always beaten the number 11 seed. In fact, they're 5-0, including the one yesterday. But they have never beaten a number 3 seed, and they're facing a number 3 seed here tonight. So Missouri in their road gold and Kansas in their white. And Graves wins the opening tip, and right back to Graves. Missed the chip shot, but the Jayhawks will get it back.
Nice look over the top by Aaron Miles, and that's the thing that Jeff Graves, one of the things that frustrates the coaches more than anything, he has to dunk that ball inside. He's got it right in there. He's got a dead layup. You got to get up and flush. And important for Kansas to keep Jeff Graves out of foul trouble. He matches up extremely well with AJ inside.
Langford with the ball for the Jayhawks, off to Giddens. Both those guys shot threes very well in Columbia last Sunday.
There was any lack of offense on either team's part in that game. Both teams got out extremely well on the offensive end.
The final 84-82 Kansas. Langford loses the handle and a slippery ball.
Well, let's see if Ricky Paulding can get back on track. He struggled a little bit against Kansas. Wasn't extremely great yesterday at Texas A&M. Not what you are used to seeing if you're Missouri and Ricky Paulding at the end of the season.
Even though the Tigers, Chris, had 4 guys in double figures for Quinn Snyder last Sunday, and you could see overall his record against Kansas. When you think of the Tigers last Sunday, it was almost all Arthur Johnson.
Well, 37 points, tough to stop. You know, the problem for Missouri really isn't the offensive end, it's the defensive side. They shot 60% yesterday against Texas A&M and still only won by 6.
Jimmy McKinney, who had a big game yesterday against A&M, 20 points, including 5 trays, which is a career high for him. He gets the Tigers on the board. Langford trying to force it inside to Simeon. Ball bouncing around in there. Bryant gets it up to Paulding.
3 bad passes by Keith Langford already.
Inside, Johnson. Graves guarding him. Johnson gets the long rebound. Back out, Gardner for 3. Timeout, Kansas. So Johnson, even on the miss, the long rebound comes back to him. They work it around, and Thomas Gardner, the freshman, buries the 3.
Well, the board's something that killed Missouri yesterday. They gave up 24 offensive rebounds, but this time they get the offensive rebound. Nice recognition to kick it out to the wing for Thomas Gardner on the outside for the 3. The freshman giving Missouri a nice lift from outside, and you can tell already Missouri has the intensity right now. Bill Self calls a quick early timeout, gets in his players' faces. He's not happy with their focus on the game.
Missouri yesterday, I thought they kind of coasted through their win over A&M. But boy, they're not coasting right now. They came out with great intensity, and they have to. Simeon Johnson, that's a matchup we'll be following closely here all night long.
Now, both players are the type of guys that if you get them the ball on a regular basis, they're going to make something good happen. They don't necessarily need to score every time down the floor, but you like the ball to go through their hands the majority of the time.
Langford. Ball batted around inside, and it goes to Missouri. So Bill Self, in his first year at Kansas, and you see his overall record, including his time at Illinois, Tulsa, and Oral Roberts. His teams have been to 5 straight NCAA appearances. They'll go to a 6th this year. And Kansas not playing well right now with 3 early turnovers. Johnson, no. Giddens has the rebound.
You know, Dave, I don't think it's unusual either to see a team that comes out and is playing in their first game of the tournament like Kansas is a little bit flat. Missouri, on the other hand, kind of got their legs under them. They got the first game jitters out of the system against Texas A&M yesterday. It's a familiar environment for them. Kansas, on the other hand, kind of struggling to get kick-started.
Graves had great position on Trayvon Bryant and able to convert the two here and go to the line.
Well, nice position inside by Jeff Graves. He's not great going over the top and scoring, but that time he uses his body to get Trayvon Bryant out of the way close enough to be able to finish inside.
Chris, you see the 15 minutes for Graves on Sunday. Most of that was because of foul trouble.
And silly fouls by Jeff Graves. That's one of the things he has to do is be in position. He has a tendency to kind of lose track of what he's doing on the floor, and he'll pick up quick, silly fouls that really don't have any bearing on the game. And for Kansas to have success in postseason, also here tonight, Jeff Graves has got to be able to stay in the game.
Bryant, he got Simeon up in the air. Shot well short. Rebound to Graves. They close on Giddens in a hurry. Langford. Oh, another bad pass by Langford. Bailed out a little bit. And Kansas will get it back.
Now, I think he's forcing the issue a little bit right now. He's finding an ability to get inside the lane, but Missouri really not giving him any opportunities to pass the ball. He's got to look to pull up, shoot that little mid-range jumper.
Well, the officials just changed the call and giving the ball to Missouri. Boy, big upset there in overtime. Vanderbilt beating Mississippi State. And that ruins their chances of a #1 seed.
Well, big win for Kevin Stallings. Vanderbilt trying to play their way in, and Mississippi State just ran through the SEC West. Comes out short there.
McKinney also short there. Now Langford. The alley-oop into the band.
Now Keith Langford's going to get a chance to sit down on the bench, maybe change his shoes, change his luck, because things aren't going very well for him right now at all. Bill Self gives him an early seat to come over and talk about it a little bit.
Bill Self, his time at Illinois and now at Kansas. So shoes for Langford. There's his good luck charm. Bill Self 5-0 against the Missouri Tigers in his coaching career.
He's had good success at Illinois and then the 2 times here this season. You know, both those games, especially the early game at Kansas, I think was a game that at a time when Missouri was really struggling, they stayed right in that game, had a possession at the end to have a chance to go ahead, and were not able to come over the hump against Kansas.
Giddens. That shot well short. In fact, an air ball.
Great job by Thomas Gardner. Got beat initially, but stuck with it just enough to be able to get in the hand in Giddens' face. And J.R. Giddens not comfortable putting the ball on the floor yet. He'd rather stand out there and shoot the 3.
Ricky Paulding, nice little hesitation for Paulding. And then a quick step to get around Michael Lee. Take a moment to thank our Big 12 corporate partners, 7-Up, and your local 7-Up bottler. Make 7-Up yours. Gardner goes down in the heap. He and Lee got their feet tangled up. Johnson, good position. Graves on his back. Graves, foul #1.
Nice job by Arthur Johnson. He just takes the ball from the top, swings it, dives down to the low post, and Jeff Graves late to get. Look at the position Arthur Johnson's got. He's got it right down on the paint. He's right there. All he has to do is go straight up, and Jeff Graves caught lagging behind, and nice job by Arthur Johnson getting the position. You know, the thing that he did against Kansas so well with that 37 points was different spots on the floor. He'd catch it in the low post deep. He'd also step out a step or two, turn and face, shoot the jumper, and really gave Kansas problems because they couldn't figure out whether they wanted to double team him or play him straight up.
Arthur Johnson, the man they call Doc, and it's spelled D-O-C-K. It actually is an honor to his dad. His dad, who died when Arthur Johnson was only 8 years of age of an aneurysm, and he has kind of adopted his dad's nickname, so they call him Doc. 4-point Missouri lead. Lee for 3. That one off the heel, no good. Rebound McKinney. Missouri looking confident so far. Johnson again. Graves another foul. That's his second. And again it came from not being in the right position.
And again, just pushing the ball straight down the floor, and Jeff Graves a little slow to get up and find Arthur Johnson. He just goes down, establishes about a step up off the block that time. That allowed him to be able to turn, pivot, take the ball up on the glass, and quickly now Jeff Graves gets his 2 fouls, and he gets his customary seat on the bench. Now only 5 minutes into the game.
Chris, when he gets out of position like that, he's got to get a little smarter, doesn't he? And saying, all right, I'm just going to let him have the basket, because, you know, it doesn't do him any good to be spending so much time on the bench.
No question about it. The thing about position in the post, you do it early.
All right, Graves with a scowl. Missouri leading by 7. Back after this from your friends at Phillips 66.
ESPN Plus game is brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. Phillips 66, proud sponsor of the 2004 Phillips 66 Big 12 basketball tournament. You can count on Phillips 66 quality Pro Clean gasoline. GMC, we are professional grade. Sonic, it's not just good, it's Sonic good. Guinness Draft Stout, enjoyed responsibly the world over.
Tigers enjoying a 7-point lead right now. Arthur Johnson picking up where he left off last week in Columbia.
Well, a mobile big man, he likes to find different positions on the floor. 5 early points, and watch where he catches the ball. He catches it out high. Kansas able to get the double team on him. He kicks the ball back out. They're not able to get the points, but this time he's in tight and low and able not only to get the points inside, but to get Jeff Graves his 2nd foul.
Now Simeon trying to get his offense going. Out to Padgett. Now Giddens for 3. No.
Kent's going to have to find a way to get some shots going from the outside, because right now Missouri double teaming down inside on Wayne Simeon, not allowing him to have any clear looks at the basket.
Listen to these numbers. Kansas 10 possessions, 1 for 5 from the field, 5 turnovers.
That's not good basketball. It's not going to get you very far.
It's going to get you a 7-point deficit. Good pass. Bryant can't finish. Here comes Miles. Simeon trying to get it to Padgett, might have forced it. Here comes Conley, and he's fouled by Miles.
Well, we're kind of seeing Kansas do what they've done at times this year, and that's be very nasty on the offensive side. They have a tendency sometimes to stand and look, and Wayne Simeon doesn't really know where he wants to go with the ball. He's standing and aiming, and Padgett gave up the position at the last second. And then Conley straight down the floor, and Aaron Miles not very happy right now with the rest of the team. A lot of turnovers early, and I think it's the lack of good possession that's probably been the bigger problem for Kansas more than anything.
6 turnovers in 11 possessions. That's just awful.
It's not very good. Give credit to Missouri defensively, though. They're really clogging things up inside in the paint, not allowing Wayne Simeon to have any room whatsoever. Now they'll go single man defense inside on Dave Padgett. They're not that worried about his ability to score on him.
Like what I saw from Miles there, as he's showing some leadership, going right up and down the line, yelling at Langford, yelling at Simeon, yelling at Giddens, yelling at Padgett, saying, let's get our heads in this game.
You know, and that's been one of the changes for Kansas lately, is the leadership from Miles, and more importantly, I think, from Keith Langford. He's a guy that's played big minutes for Kansas in the last few games, not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end as well.
Conley had it partially blocked by Padgett. Here comes Giddens ripping it away. Giddens flying down the court, pulls up for the jumper.
You want to talk about players getting better. In the beginning of the season, no way does J.R. Giddens pull up for that. Instead, he takes that in and gets a charge on Trayvon Bryant. That time, though, nice recognition to take what the defense gave him and pull up.
And Trayvon Bryant pulls up for a 3.
Well, he gives you so many weapons. The ability to play inside with that strength and size for Trayvon Bryant. He can step out, hit the 3 as well. You've got to be able to play with him out on the floor if you're guarding him as a big man.
Padgett's shot too strong. Gardner. Johnson. Trayvon Bryant. No. Boy, I thought that was going down.
See Missouri trying to do a little work on Wayne Simeon defensively. Get Jeff Graves out of the game. All of a sudden they bring A.J. up high and try and post up Trayvon Bryant underneath. Go right at Wayne Simeon on the defensive side.
So Simeon able to get the bucket and the foul. McKinney picking up the foul.
Well, he's so strong inside. Look at the nice post up on AJ, putting a little elbow up top and releasing and going and getting the ball. Kenny not happy with his help on the weak side, but one of the things that Wayne Simeon does as well as any big man is he goes and gets the ball. As soon as you release it and throw it up in the air, he's going to attack it and go out and catch it. Really makes the guards feel good about throwing the ball inside.
You saw Simeon's numbers against Missouri on Sunday. That got lost in translation, didn't it, with Arthur Johnson's big day?
Yeah, 37 points. You know, Wayne Simeon, though, has been consistent, though. You know, he's around the 20 to 24 point mark for Kansas every time. It's really got to be something that you expect it from Wayne Simeon every time, but you also got to give credit to the other guys for getting the ball in close.
Conley can't hit. Lee tracks down the rebound. Langford. Nice move to the basket for Langford. Kansas seems to have settled down a bit. They're within 3.
And Keith Langford has had that move every time. He just hasn't made the correct decision the previous times, trying to force the pass instead of pulling up for the jump.
Gardner, great streak shooter, good freshman shooter. And his second 3 of the game.
So tough to get off and help inside on the Missouri big man when you've got Thomas Gardner and Jason Conley both on the floor at the same time. They'll be able to step back out and hit that 3.
Lee tries a 3. That won't go. Bryant with a good rebound. Conley, he's been a big difference maker since being inserted into the lineup more often. Gardner tries another 3. Trayvon Bryant with a rebound. Conley.
Tell you what, it's been a long time since I've seen Missouri pass the ball as well as they're doing here today. Not only the extra pass, but the second extra pass. And when you do that, not only do you get open looks, but you also put the defense in a bad position to rebound, and it helps your offense out to get on the offensive glass.
Miles would have counted had it gone. He will go to the line.
Trayvon Bryant just tracking it down. And look, Kansas, you give up the offensive rebound. Now all of a sudden you're out of position and nobody finds Conley underneath. Good look by Trayvon Bryant. He can do so many things. He's so big. Yes. He can rebound for you. He can pass. He can shoot the 3.
He's really come on strong in his senior campaign. He's having a terrific year, Trayvon Bryant.
Take a
moment to thank our Big 12 corporate partner, Cooper Tire, proud to be the official tire of the Big 12. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. Well, Aaron Miles. Jayhawks have trailed by 8 on a couple of occasions in this game. Miles able to hit both free throws. Right now, though, it's the Tigers who are coming out growling. The Tigers playing extremely well, doing it from the inside and from the out. And the Tigers, as we head to break, leading by a half dozen. This is proud to be the presenting sponsor of Big 12 basketball. Be sure to stop by your local Phillips 66 station and fill up with quality Proclaim gasolines only from Phillips 66, the performance brand. Missouri leading 18-12 here at the Phillips 66 Big 12 basketball tournament, the final quarterfinal of this Friday. Boy, the Tigers nodding their heads in agreement with this 6-point lead. Chris, we hear it all the time as Gardner's having a great time here with a couple of 3-pointers. We heard all the time, it's very tough to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. Why?
Well, I think it's more about the team you're playing. Generally, if you play a team 3 times, it's a conference team. So teams are so familiar with each other. Beating them twice is a tough thing to do. 3 times is almost unheard of. Also, a lot of times it's that team that's got the 0-2 streak that the game means more for them as the season goes on. For Missouri right now, this game is huge for them to get a chance to get in the NCAA tournament. For Kansas, they're in. It's really a seeding game, so you get a little different perspective on how much energy you're going to give the game.
Ricky Paulding, nice move. Back to an 8-point Tiger advantage. Christian Moody in now. Kevin Young playing for the Tigers, and Padgett is fouled. Arthur Johnson picks up his first.
Well, Bill Self has gone deep to the bench early. He's got Jeff Hawkins on the floor as well as Christian Moody. Jeff Hawkins is a guy that hasn't seen as much time lately at the guard spot for Kansas. His inability to shoot from the outside has really hurt him. Himself obviously wanting to do something on the defensive end, though, with Jeff Hawkins' quickness.
And a turnover again as Lee charges into Young.
Well, you love to see your guys come off the bench that not all that worried about making great plays on the offensive end, but doing the right things on the defensive end. Great hustle by Kevin Young to get down to the baseline, get set up, and Michael Lee trying to force the issue there. Kansas not having much luck putting the ball down on the floor against Missouri. Turnovers, Kansas was 7, but this number here, unheard of for Missouri to go this far into the game with 0 turnovers. Tells you a little bit about Kansas's pressure defense at this moment.
Josh Kroenke, well, just as we're talking about them not turning it over, they do. Tie up, they'll give the ball back to Missouri, so that isn't a turnover. The arrow pointing the Tigers' way.
Wayne Simeon for Kansas.
Wayne Simeon checking back in along with Keith Langford. A little more scoring punch now for the Jayhawks. Missouri, Arthur Johnson back in there. A lot of times, too, first game of a tournament for you, you come in maybe a little lackadaisical, a little unfamiliar with the surroundings. And for Missouri, as you mentioned, a lot on the line for the Tigers, and they know it.
Well, for whatever reason, it's hard to get the ignition going sometimes. I don't think you just jump out in the tournament atmosphere, and it kind of takes a little time to get your feet underneath you and figure out what to do in the arena. As odd as it may sound, but I think more than anything for Missouri, this game has huge implications for the rest of their season.
And right now they're just a half step quicker to every loose ball. Quick double team on Arthur Johnson, then they lay off, and Johnson with a running hook that won't go.
Well, he caught the ball a step outside the paint and initially backed off, and then all of a sudden Wayne Simeon had the decision whether to stick with the double team or get back and help his man, and once he did, Arthur Johnson read it and took it to the basket.
Hawkins, it was right on line, a little bit short for Jayhawk. Conley whistled for the foul. Not Conley, but Conley will create the foul. The foul is on Giddens.
Number 6.
Still an 8-point lead for Missouri. They're playing well. And forcing turnovers. Kansas creating some of their own turnovers. The Tigers taking advantage. Johnson fouled by Padgett.
Well, you could see that coming. Without Trayvon Bryant on the floor right now, Arthur Johnson caught the ball up top, and all of a sudden he had a decision to make. He said, wait a minute, I'm the guy that's going to score. We're going to put the ball on the floor and take it right at it. And Dave Padgett not quick enough with the feet to stick with Arthur Johnson, and therein lies the problem for Kansas. You got Jeff Graves on the bench. His size can negate Arthur Johnson, but he picks up the easy fouls, the early fouls, and that puts Dave Padgett in a bad position. That's a bad matchup for Kansas with Padgett on Arthur Johnson.
So Graves sitting there cooling his heels in what has become a very familiar position for him, the role of cheerleader more than not. And you wonder, will he and his senior campaign be able to get a handle on that? He hasn't been so far. I mean, sometimes bad habits are hard to break.
I think Missouri initially went right at him every possession, trying to put him in a position to foul.
Paulding, another three. Ricky Paulding looking smooth tonight. And Missouri with their biggest lead. They have upped it to a dozen. They've doubled the score of the Jayhawks.
Nice job with the dribble penetration, draw on the defense. You can't give up on Ricky Paulding outside. You've got to honor his ability to shoot the ball. He struggled a little bit in the last couple games, but he still is a guy that can get hot, especially come tournament time.
Kevin Young fouling Wayne Simeon.
Now watch the penetration inside the lane, and Ricky Paulding does a great job of coming back with the ball, giving Missouri a chance to find him on the floor. If he stays buried down on the baseline, he doesn't get any look. Instead, he slides up, able to open up for the three.
So Ricky Paulding, Arthur Johnson, the heart and soul of this team. Guys who have been soulmates for a long time in Detroit. Simeon able to hit both free throws.
Double team by Kansas. Arthur Johnson backs away and makes him take the double team off.
They show double team and then back off it, and then once Johnson watches them back off, well, he goes.
Now, once Arthur Johnson takes his dribble away from the basket, they've got to leave away from that double team, because otherwise going to give up the pass underneath.
Wayne Simeon able to hit a 2. Johnson won't get that one. He and Moody tumble to the ground.
I was just about to say that Missouri has looked very good on the offensive end, very confident in a rhythm, kind of knowing where each other is going to be at on the floor. And Arthur Johnson threw that one up.
So Bill Self motioning over to the official. He wants to talk to John Higgins, one of the 3 officials today. He's Higgins, joined by Steve Welmer, and Eddie Jackson tonight. Go back to the Tigers, and well, a foul here on Kansas. That foul is called on Aaron Miles. Second on Miles. So he's got 2, and Graves has 2.
Trying to help out on Arthur Johnson inside, and Aaron Miles just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And again, though, you know, Arthur Johnson doesn't have to catch the ball every time for him to make things happen against Kansas. Just his presence inside in the paint, really the big difference. Things are starting to heat up a little more, like the Kansas-Missouri game.
As they're starting to bump into each other.
A little too nice early, too friendly out there.
Long 3 from Giddens. Wow.
Now that's what he does best for Kansas. Kind of surprising, I think, for a lot of Kansas fans. They thought J.R. Giddens would come in and be a slasher. He's really developed into Kansas's best 3-point threat from the outside. Jayhawks
trying to find an answer for Arthur Johnson. They cannot. Christian Moody yet another foul. Giddens talking to Aaron Miles saying, just give me that ball. I think I'm starting to get hot a little bit.
Well, Christian Moody in a losing battle right there when you're trying to body up with Arthur Johnson inside the paint. He's got to use his quickness to get around him. He's not going to win the battle of the size against Arthur Johnson. And Arthur Johnson just so smart picking his spots on the floor.
This time Johnson will get the bonus. So Christian Moody joining Mr. Graves over on that bench for Kansas. Langford, no basket. Foul on the court. It's only the 6th foul against Missouri. So we've got a timeout with 7:52 remaining. The Jayhawks come back to their huddle. Working hard, but it's not working. Missouri leading by 8. And they have a big advantage, Chris, in 3-point shooting so far tonight.
Well, the dilemma for Kansas right now is whether to guard inside and give up the 3 or get outside and pressure, and Kansas not doing a very good job handling the penetration. Missouri putting the ball down on the floor, driving to the basket, bringing off the defense. And Ricky Paulding there shows you great senior ability to read the floor and come swing up, get the passing lane. And Missouri doing a nice job from the outside, 4 for 6, getting good open looks and using their ability to put the ball down on the floor, draw that defense off, and get the wide open looks against Kansas's D.
That right there is a 9-point differential from the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. This is the final quarterfinal game of this Friday, the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament. Again, John Sunbold under the weather. Padgett able to put home the miss. John Sunbold not able to go tonight. He's on the DL, and Chris Piper is out of that Phillips 66 bullpen. Little helping hand. Good pass inside, and then Arthur Johnson, the easy 2.
Missouri really working the inside-outside combination right now to great effect against Kansas. And Kansas, not enough pressure on the ball to really do what they need to defensively.
Good defense there by Young to steal it away. Conley finds some space. Miles, what a rebound and then a spin to somehow stay in control. And then all the way to the hoop. Wow!
How about that play? Go and grab the offensive rebound, hunt it down, and then come down the other floor. Watch this floor open up for Aaron Miles. He's letting the traffic go by. All of a sudden, he sees the nice little soft screen by Wayne Simeon up top, uses it, comes off, and the finish, a little booster for Kansas, try and get this crowd back in it and get a little energy going with the rest of the guys.
Off the heel, no good, but Padgett's got the rebound. Another one heels out, no good for Kansas.
Well, offensive rebounds back-to-back for Kansas.
And a block by Padgett. Crowd gets excited, but Missouri will get the ball back with 29 on that shot clock. But sometimes things like that can serve as a motivation.
You like the energy, and you like to see Dave Padgett getting some things going his way. If you're Kansas fans watching this game, that was a huge bucket for him against Missouri to hit that game winner. He has not had many good things happen to him this season, something that maybe he can build off of for the future, get a little more confidence boost.
Arthur Johnson, no. Young, no. Johnson. Gardner, another three, no. Johnson. Oh, a little dipsy-do, and out of bounds goes Young.
Arthur Johnson trying to make an easy play, look a little tough in that situation, but you love the hustle for Missouri on the offensive boards. Kansas without Graves out there struggling to keep him off.
Take a moment to thank our Big 12 corporate partner, Gatorade Thirst Quencher. Gatorade, it's in college basketball. Is it in you? These guys are going to need plenty of Gatorade with the energy they're expelling here tonight. 6-point game. Mizzou's led by as many as 12. Good high-low action that time from Padgett to Simeon. And Kansas within 4 all of a sudden.
Defensive intensity on Missouri slacking off a little bit, seeing more room inside for Wayne Simeon to go to work.
Tipped in by Johnson.
He has just been a man inside. You got to get a body on him, and not only do you have to have a body on him, you got to move the feet. He is quick around the inside.
Simeon waited for Trayvon Bryant to go by and scores 2 more. Simeon now with 11, and timeout Missouri. Arthur Johnson, what a half he has had. Already 13 points for AJ, 4 for 10 shooting.
Well, the big guy is having a war in the paint. Arthur Johnson just kind of hanging around. See Kansas going out trying to help defensively, leaving Arthur Johnson underneath the basket. And Wayne Simeon finally finding some room inside. Ball goes up top. He holds Trayvon Bryant on the high hip, and Dave Padgett pretty good at throwing the ball over the top. Wayne Simeon, watch when this ball will swing over here. He'll seal off, and that way you can do the lob pass over the top. No weak side help for Missouri. They're out here all around the perimeter, guarding the 3, and that's what Kansas wants. They want you to come out and then get the high-low action underneath the basket.
And if you don't come out, then they do hit it on the perimeter, and they're open for a wing shot.
Doing much better shooting the ball from the outside lately for Kansas. Wayne Simeon, 11 points already. He's the type of guy, though, he'd look at this number and say, well, I've only got 3 rebounds. Always looking to make himself a little bit better.
And Arthur Johnson, when you think of big guys for Missouri, you got to start considering Arthur Johnson as maybe the best of the lot of them.
Boy, I tell you what, he has been tremendous. You know, One of the things, I looked at Missouri's numbers throughout the year, trying to figure out what's going on with him. And you look at Arthur Johnson, he's consistent every single time for the most part. It's very hard to find him not getting the numbers. It's been some of the other guys on this Missouri team that haven't been as consistent as Quinn Snyder would like.
Arthur Johnson, though, has been, as you mentioned, consistent. And when you consider it, #1 in block shots, #1 in rebounds, 1,700 plus points.
A little 2-3 zone now by Missouri. Let's see what kind of action Kansas can get on the outside. Keith Langford been silent so far this game. Sometimes against the zone, he has the ability to find openings inside.
So Wayne Simmons with 2 more. He and Johnson are having quite a battle, aren't they? Paulding for 3. Not much rotation on that shot.
And not a great shot. Missouri's kind of starting to let Kansas off the hook offensively right now, taking quick early shots against Kansas's D.
Here comes Paulding, 2-on-1 with Gardner.
Oh,
no basket.
No basket.
A charge on Paulding.
Now Ricky Paulding's got a history of being able to jump over guys. Really something that kick-started him in the game against Kansas State earlier this season. Took off a little too high, and Michael Lee getting that early position. Ricky Paulding commits way too early.
Second foul on Paulding. Quinn Snyder urging his team to be tough as Kansas has erased the 12-point deficit and are within 2. So Paulding gets a breather on the bench. It'll be interesting to see if he comes back. I doubt it in this first half with 2 fouls.
And that's kind of been the MO for Missouri this season. They get you in a position where they're having a lot of success, and all of a sudden they forget what has got them that success. And they've gone away from that here in the last 5 or 6 possessions on the offensive side.
David Pageant out of control. He picks up a charge.
A player control foul.
Trayvon Bryant stepped in his path. So Pageant picks up his second foul. Christian Moody will check back in. And I guess if you're the Jayhawks, you're thinking, don't pick up fouls on the offensive end. We got to save those on the defensive end against Arthur Johnson.
Well, especially for Dave Pageant and Jeff Graves. They're going to get their full allotment of fouls. Both those guys, I would not be surprised to see sitting on the bench by the time of this game's over, using up all 5 of those. Arthur Johnson just presents so many problems for the inside.
Whistle and a foul inside. And that foul called on Trayvon Bryant, or is it 3 seconds in the lane? 3 seconds in the lane. Well, Aaron Miles able to go coast to coast, a spin and a finish. And we're back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Rounds already in this tournament. We watched Oklahoma race a big deficit and come back to beat Nebraska yesterday. Texas turned the tables on the Sooners and came back today. In this game, in this first half, Kansas started off 4 for 11. They've been 7 for 11 since. Missouri started off 6 for 16. They're 5 of 15 since. So the Jayhawks getting their legs under them a bit, and they have pulled it within 2.
Well, Kansas turnover problems early, but when they have had opportunities to score, they've done a pretty good job. 50% from the floor has kept them tight in this game, and they've got to be pretty happy right now having 10 early turnovers, and Keith Langford struggled right out of the gate. They're still right in here. Missouri going to stick with a 2-3 zone.
Langford left scratching his head a lot in the early going. Simeon, boy, he's tough to stop when he gets it there.
Now Missouri's going to have to get out of that zone. He's finding way too much room to move inside there. He's so smart. He comes from the weak side, finds a little dead area spot there, and able to score. In Missouri, not a very good zone team. You got to communicate in that zone, and obviously you see they're not real used to playing.
Johnson fights through the trap. Conley for 3. Off the heel, no good. Moody's got the rebound.
All of a sudden, Arthur Johnson not getting many touches inside.
Simeon, no. McKinney. Simeon now guarding Arthur Johnson.
We'll see if Missouri can go right at it. Throw the ball inside to Arthur Johnson. Let him back Wayne Simeon underneath.
Conley. That 3 is an air ball. Jason Conley has had a roller coaster ride, hasn't he, since his transfer from VMI. Time for our GMC professional grade player profile. Boy, look at the slew of players from these two teams. I don't think we have time to mention them all. The ball's back in play.
It's the NBA factory, isn't it?
That is great stuff for both of these teams. And you look at the number of players that are not only playing in the NBA, but are starring in the NBA.
A lot of high lottery picks there.
Miles. Moody won't shoot from there. Goes inside, though. Throws up a prayer. It's not answered. And a good save by Conley.
Now Missouri just telling Christian Moody to go ahead and take the shot from the outside, and that's tough. You get in that position, you want to make something happen, but sometimes you force the issue a little bit too much. Christian Moody been better off passing the ball to somebody and repositioning himself somewhere in his comfort zone as far as scoring goes.
Simeon now on Young.
Langford gets away with one there. Kansas definitely doesn't want to double Kevin Young on the post.
Shot clock down to 3. Conley. Missouri's gone ice cold. Here comes Langford. He pulls up, and Kansas has their first lead of the night.
The whole difference right now, Dave, is shot selection from Missouri. Where they're taking the shots and when they're taking the shots. They have totally got away from what they were doing early against Kansas. Not having any success, and when they take these shots, it's fueling Kansas the ability to push the ball down to the other end of the floor and get an easy shot.
Johnson, nice little turnaround for AJ.
Go back home to mama. Throw the ball inside to the big fella and let him go to work. It's pretty easy.
Daddy, I guess, is more appropriate.
Back to Daddy.
Big
Either way,
Daddy.
it's the same result.
Simeon. Young thought he got there in position to draw the charge.
What a great matchup, watching those two go head-to-head. You probably won't see much of it in the second half when they get Graves and Padgett back on the floor, but both those guys have different strengths. Johnson's strength is to back Wayne Simeon underneath the basket. Wayne Simeon kind of pulling out a little bit, showing his ability to put the ball on the floor.
I got an idea. With Simeon with 17 and Johnson with 15, let's just play one-on-one.
Have at it. About what it's been for.
Thomas Gardner and Josh Conkey return.
Coming up at halftime, I think this is the first for Paul Splittorff actually pitching in relief. So Split is pitching for you in the studio with Doug, and of course big buzzer beater in the ACC, plus highlights of what has been a very, very good Big 12
what
tournament.
a great tournament. Competitive games, every one of them. Now, I can't hardly believe still that Oklahoma's not in this tournament. I mean, it's been 4 straight years for them to be in the tournament finals. Obviously, they've won the last three. Kelvin Sampson's team left it all on the floor, and Texas tremendous late in that game against Oklahoma.
Johnson working around the triple team. Giddens comes flying in for an athletic rebound.
Boy, a huge rebound by J.R. Giddens. Kansas outmanned underneath because they went and doubled A.J. out about 5 feet out from the paint. Nice job by Giddens getting to the glass.
Langford, a long 3. As the half comes to a close, no basket from Simeon. But a comeback by the Jayhawks. They were down by a dozen. Wayne Simeon leading the comeback with 17 first half points. He was 7 for 8 from the field. The rest of the team 7 of 19. Kansas by 2 at the half.
Inside, Wayne Simeon getting loose, stepping out a little bit. Watch him work for position. Comes from the weak side, establishes position out in the dead area, steps out, and takes Arthur Johnson with his quickness on the baseline. A big, big first half for Wayne Simeon, finding shots all over the floor. Arthur Johnson, tremendous early, getting inside the paint. And got Jeff Graves out of this game with 2 quick early fouls, but his ability to find shots inside against Kansas really keyed Missouri early, and then all of a sudden Missouri forgot about it.
For all your insurance needs, visit shelterinsurance.com to find the shelter agent near you. Seek shelter today. With Chris Piper, Dave Armstrong. Glad you could join us in our key matchup today. 2 guys that already are having a terrific terrific game.
Well, great numbers. The difference there, though, lies with A.J. 5 for 12 from the floor. Wayne Simmons 7 of 8. What a matchup, but two great big men. Let's watch and see if Missouri goes in early to Arthur Johnson again with Jeff Graves back on the floor. See if we can get him in foul trouble.
Our best to John Sunbold. Hopefully he's back resting and getting ready for tomorrow's semifinal action. Sunbold out with a sore throat tonight, folks.
He's had about 5 pounds of lemon drops by now, probably.
Bad case of laryngitis. Jeff Graves can't hit the chip shot inside, but Langford just took that rebound away from Trayvon Bryant.
It looks like Keith Langford kept the same shoes on, at least they're the same color. Generally, if he doesn't have a good first half, he'll change them up, try and get a little kick start to the second half, but it looks like he stayed with the same ones. Struggled a little bit in the first half early, was not able to get active. Jeff Graves trying to go over the top, and Keith Langford smart enough to realize that's not Jeff Graves' patent move. He goes in looking for the offensive rebound.
Langford first half only 4 points for Langford, but he did have 6 rebounds.
Yeah, that's what you like to see out of Keith Langford. And earlier I said that he's been much better for Kansas, I think, from a leadership standpoint. And leadership doesn't mean going out and scoring 20, 25 points. He's been doing the other things for Kansas, the defensive side, getting on the glass, assists as well. Had 6 Sunday against Missouri, a high for him.
Johnson with Graves back in the game, kicks it out. McKinney a 3, no. Rebound, Paulding. That won't go. Trayvon Bryant and a whistle and a foul. That foul is on Wayne Simeon. Simeon picks up his first.
Missouri trying to pound it inside again and get active on the offensive boards. Ricky Paulding finding a seam in that defense, coming right through and getting on the glass. Second chance opportunity leads to the third chance, and more often not puts you in foul jeopardy, and Kansas picks that one up.
Little high-low of their own from Missouri. Paulding can't finish, but Johnson can. Arthur Johnson now matching Simeon. As Arthur Johnson picks up his 17th point of the night. Thomas Gardner reaching in on Giddens. And Gardner picks up his first foul.
Aaron Miles' quickness creates that opportunity by J.R. Giddens. Put the ball down, take it inside, and Gardner slacked off just a little bit, thinking that Aaron Miles is going to go all the way in, and then once you kick it back to J.R. Giddens, you're out of position defensively.
A lob into Graves. That one will go down.
Throughout the season, Kansas has been extremely effective with the inbounds underneath the basket, just throwing it up inside, letting their size go to work for him, getting up, getting an easy look inside for Jeff Graves, and Kansas trying to get him going, hopefully thinking that if he gets the offense going, the defense will come with it.
Jayhawks coming into this tournament, winners of 3 in a row. A whistle and a foul on Giddens, and well, they're calling it much tighter here in the early going of the second half.
A little tighter out on the perimeter, but loose underneath. You watch the big guys battle, and they're really using their arms and legs, shoving and pulling. J.R. Giddens a little too much body there on Gardner as he takes it into the paint. Look at the wrestling match going on underneath between Jeff Graves and Arthur Johnson. He's doing a little better job of playing that post position defense early rather than late.
Trayvon Bryant, the double team coming from Graves, and the rebound by Simeon.
Well, Trayvon Bryant's got to be smart enough at this point in his career. Feels the double team, kick it back out. Somebody else is going to be open.
Tried a backdoor play, and it was picked off by Mizzou.
Lackadaisical pass by Graves.
Kick out Gardner for 3. No. Graves all by his lonesome. Simeon. Boy, it's a good touch pass from Miles, and a good play by Simeon to seal off his opponent. Almost a steal by Simeon. Now Kansas in a scramble. McKinney for 3.
3 points for Jimmy
Now,
McKinney.
Missouri needed that when they started off hot, 4 for 6 from the three-point line, and have really cooled off after that 0 for 4 to finish that first half. And the difference was the shot selection. That time, McKinney gets the shot off the penetration on the dribble. Wide open look, he's going to hit it.
Langford now 0 for 3 from three-point range. Paulding. That one rattled out, no good. Giddens all by his lonesome. A 3.
3 points for J.R. Giddens.
And if Missouri fell asleep defensively, J.R. Giddens just standing there. You couldn't believe how wide open he was. He sized it up. It's about a second or 2 extra.
J.R. Giddens, Pipe, he has become a real threat from three-point range.
You know, his numbers aren't tremendous from the outside. He shoots 40% from three-point line, which is pretty good. But the fact is, when you take a look at what he's done in the Big 12 play, numbers much higher. He struggled early in the season hitting the shot from the outside.
McKinney, pump fake. Miles stood his ground, but McKinney hits it anyway.
A tough matchup for Kansas when Jimmy McKinney can get inside in the paint with Aaron Miles guarding him. He can use his size to go over the top.
Langford and a holding call inside. That foul is going to be on Gardner, so he picks up his second foul. It's on the floor, no shooting involved. So 15:41 remaining in the ball game, and J.R. Giddens starts a little celebration as Kansas erasing that 12-point deficit to have a 2-point lead.
Kansas with the lead 42-40. Watch Wayne Simeon in the post. Nobody posts up as well as him. Watch the movement there. He's got him beat right now. He's sealed. They're going to swing the ball over. He's going to swing with it. And they've got the nice, easy pass inside the paint. Great job by Wayne Simeon getting Trayvon Bryant up high to start the play. Once he's got him there, he's on his back. You're beat.
Amazing how when you swing the ball, Chris, how it opens up things inside.
Ball reversal. It's such a tough thing, isn't it? It's tough to guard that when you swing the ball from side to side, because originally you're fronting on one side. If you got a good post player, he pins you like Wayne Simeon does, and then doesn't allow you back around.
Simeon getting a breather now. 19 points on 8 of 9 shooting for Wayne Simeon. Who hit a big three against Missouri on Sunday in Columbia. Backs it out. Still plenty of time on the shot clock, as you can see. Padgett. Talk about hitting big shots. Graves. And he's fouled from behind. Graves upset with himself for not finishing, but at least that time your earlier advice about going up and jamming it home. We'll take a moment to thank our Big 12 corporate partner, Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
You're exactly right, Dave. Him taking that ball up strong and trying to dunk that puts him in a position to get the foul. A lot of times you're not going to get a call inside if you go up softly with it. Officials just do not give that to you sometimes. Jeff Graves, 6 points tonight, continues his late season tear ever since the Nebraska game at Nebraska, where he was actually suspended. He was the 16th guy on the team. He has been fantastic for Kansas, shooting 83% from the floor over the last 6 games.
Kansas again matching their biggest lead of the game.
Paulding been a little silent from Missouri again.
Paulding, nice fadeaway. That's a tough shot.
Tough shot.
Jayhawks again swing the ball. Graves fouled by Johnson. Oh, and the officials quickly come in and separate him. And Graves just walked over to the sideline, and Johnson with a little smile.
There was a thought there in Jeff Graves' head, a quick thought. And he showed the better decision by turning and walking away. These guys have been banging. You bang for 20 minutes and get a little heated. Got hooked up there, and Jeff Graves had a thought real quickly, but wisely turned and walked away. Arthur Johnson and Jeff Graves having a nice little mix-up.
That was the first foul on Johnson. Staring out at Graves.
You know, this is the Jeff Graves that Kansas fans have been wanting to see all season long. He just has a propensity for coming forward late in the season and starting to put it together. But when he is aggressive, the right type of aggressive moves, he's a pretty good big man for Kansas.
9 points for Graves, and guess what? No further fouling for Graves in the second half. Kansas City's hosting first and second round NCAA tournament action. Thanks to the pod seeding system, you can expect an area team to play in Kansas City. You know, Oklahoma State's going to be there, and who knows if Kansas goes today and tomorrow, maybe they'll be there too. Get tickets to the games, go to www.big12sports.com or the Kemper Arena box office.
Missouri's starting to come out a little higher on Kansas defensively. Kansas starting to spread the floor.
Langford, and when you come out a little higher, it opens up some space for Langford, doesn't it?
Spread the floor and let him go to work. You know, last year for Kansas, he was so great at putting the ball down on the floor and taking it to the basket because they had the ability to extend your defense with Heinrich shooting outside. Haven't quite had that ability, but Missouri is slowly starting to creep out further and further out on the floor defensively against Kansas.
Young looked like he got frustrated. It looked like, I don't know who to pass it to. Oh, okay, I'll shoot it.
A tough shot selection right now for Missouri. They've got to get back to doing what they were doing in the first 7 or 8 minutes of this game, which is throwing the ball inside to Arthur Johnson.
Miles tries a three. It doesn't go. Long rebound. Giddens, a long three. Oh, wow! Timeout, Missouri. Unlimited range for JR. The last time a JR made this much noise in Dallas, it was a TV show. So J.R. Giddens with a huge three, and Kansas ups the ante to 51-42. Back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Third round Dallas anyway. J.R. Giddens with a long three.
Boy, deep. He's about 2-3 steps behind. He's NBA range. The high archer, and J.R. Giddens 3 for 4 from the three-point line. Kansas players just a little excited right now, starting to put a big swing on Missouri.
Holding up the three. Another three for Giddens, who has 3 of those. He has 11 in the game now. 11 points.
And Missouri's got to get back, throwing the ball inside to Arthur Johnson.
Pageant with his arms out. Not up. Whistled for the foul, his third. Chris, I want to ask you, Missouri, when they went up on that 12-point lead early in the game, they were moving the ball so well. Is it the fact that Missouri isn't as crisp with their passing, or is it the fact that Kansas has taken that away from them?
I think Kansas has been a little better defensively, but for the most part, I think Missouri's been their own worst enemy. All of a sudden, they're relying on individual moves. They forgot about throwing the ball inside to Arthur Johnson. When you throw the ball inside to the big fella, it makes the defense collapse and opens up the shots outside. Missouri's forgotten about that.
Missouri is shooting a free throw for the first time since the first half. Big 12 basketball brought to you by Whataburger, just like you like it. Arthur Johnson, 5 of 9 from the line. Make it 6 of 10. Missouri within 8. Kansas, though, down 12 early in this contest. Giddens able to bail out Lee. The lob to Langford.
Nice pass by Michael Lee. Jimmy McKinney, tremendous effort that time defensively, but Kansas coming up with the loose balls.
And a foul on Graves. Paulding wants the basket to count, and it does.
A fast back down the floor for Missouri, just pushing the ball right down Kansas's throat. Jeff Graves now picking up his 3rd foul, which is actually pretty good for him. He's been on the floor for 8 minutes now with only 1 foul. Ricky Paulding, so explosive, getting down the floor, getting inside the lane. He's got to do more of that, but he's got to choose the right time to do it. I don't think he's as effective if he comes down quick against the defense that is set, trying to make that move. That time, though, the defense not set.
Simeon steps on the baseline, going for that rebound. So the basket, let me correct myself. The official originally made the good sign on the basket, but they did not count the basket by Paulding. As I was wondering, why isn't he shooting a free throw if they counted the basket? Well, you can count that one. They get 3 anyway on that possession.
And a great pass by Jimmy McKinney. Again, he's starting to do what they were doing early, and that's taking the ball deep in the paint. And Conley doing a great job again of posting up out on the wing. He's finding a spot on the 3-point line where Jimmy McKinney can hit him when he takes the ball down the lane.
Conley hits his first 3 of the night. Graves, good seal inside and the flush. And another assist for Miles.
Well, the Missouri big men are getting caught on the high side right now. When that happens, Kansas brings them up the floor a little bit and allows you the opportunity to throw the ball over for the lob. They've got to get weak side help down if they're going to front the post that high on the floor.
Paulding, a little bit short. Bryant, and a charge on Trayvon Bryant. So Bryant with his 4th foul of the night. That causes concern for Quinn Snyder. And so does this, as Kansas leading it 55-46. Of this game, Kansas was down by a dozen. They had 8 turnovers in like the first 5 minutes of this game, leading now 55-46. They're taking care of the ball.
Well, doing a much better job in the second half. 10 turnovers in the first half, 0 turnovers in the second half. Big number there for Kansas. The ability to maintain possession of the ball and get shots, and when they've got shots, they shoot 7 for 11 here in the second half, and doing a nice job of just maintaining their composure offensively.
We had it documented, the first 10 possessions for KU, they turned it over 6 times. So they're doing a much better job of hanging on to that basketball. Simeon, he is unstoppable. Wayne Simeon now with 21, but better than that, he's 9 of 10 from the field.
That's exactly right. You know, he's getting the points. A lot of times you see guys get a lot of points when they'll take a lot of shots, but Wayne Simeon getting the job done on the offense. And how about Kansas has got Missouri just really frustrated on the offensive end. It's turned south for Missouri real fast.
Sure has. Well, it has been a frustrating year for Quinn Snyder. You can almost see him aging as we speak, the way this season has gone for the Tigers. They have had a series of disappointments. The first 19 games, they were 1 game under 500. They have rebounded some to at least put themselves back in the NCAA picture. But now Kansas, with Lee hitting a 3, leading by 14 points after they were down by a dozen once upon a time. Arthur Johnson can't get that chip shot to go.
Well, he didn't miss any shots on Sunday, and he's getting the odds evened out here.
Paulding. Young trying to keep it alive. Langford outduels him.
I'll tell you what, Missouri just missing shots inside.
Now a whistle, and I think we've got a little blood situation with Graves, or maybe a contact lens. It is contact. It might have been poked in the eye, so Graves is going to have to check out the contact. And Quinn Snyder comes over, and he is absolutely livid. You can almost feel the frustration of a disappointing year boiling over right now with Quinn Snyder.
You know, I didn't see what he was so upset about because it was kind of a delayed reaction. We're all watching Jeff Graves down here and wasn't happy with some contact inside the post, but I agree with you. It's so frustrating for him. There's such high expectations for this Missouri team this season. They have been inconsistent, to say the least. Put together a nice little run there at the end of the season. Had a big game at Texas Tech, I think, which would have locked them in the NCAA tournament. Not able to finish in Lubbock. And then for Kansas to come in and win last game in Hearn Center Sunday was just kind of the icing on the cake, I think, for the Missouri season so far.
And then to add to the frustration for Quinn Snyder, they had a 12-point lead in this game and letting it slip away. And all of a sudden, the Jayhawks are up by 16. Some of it, too, might be to motivate his own team right now, saying, look, we've got to play with some fire and passion. We've got 10 minutes and 2 seconds to try to get into the NCAA.
You know, and when you're watching them here tonight, though, it's really not as much an intensity issue, I think, as it is picking and making the right decisions on the offensive end. Thought they've been pretty good on the defensive side.
Back to his zone defense for the Tigers. Moody picks it up. I think that was intended for Langford, but Moody was there.
Now the zone defense has not worked for Missouri here tonight.
From the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Glad to be bringing you the final quarterfinal matchup on this Friday of the Phillips 66 Big 12 tournament. Kansas erasing a 12-point deficit. And KU, who is led by only 2 at halftime, are starting to get that ball inside. The Jayhawks dominating the paint. Simeon now guarding Johnson. And a travel on the part of Gardner. Just adds to the misery as Kansas has gone on a 22-6 run over the last 5.5 minutes. Quinn Snyder trying to point his team back in the right direction. But right now, it is all KU.
You know, I'm waiting for a senior from Missouri to step up right now. This team on the floor just looks rudderless. Nobody really directing them, telling these guys to buckle down, and they've got to have somebody step up and start making plays for them.
And again, look at the positioning, and Miles quickly finds him. Miles to Simeon, who had great position, and there wasn't much left for Missouri to do at that point.
Well, you know you got a problem on the defensive end if you're able to make a pass into the mid post from that far out up top. A straight on pass like that should almost never happen against your defense.
You wonder what's going through that guy's mind right now. Quinn Snyder. Wayne Simeon. Quinn Snyder talking with Tony Harvey, one of his assistants, trying to figure out how to turn this thing back around again and get Missouri going in the right direction.
Now, Kansas has scored 30 points this first 11 minutes of this half. I might have to revisit my statement that I wasn't worried about Missouri on the defensive end. I actually didn't mean that they hadn't been playing very good defense. I think that their offense has been more of the problem, but they've got to figure out a way to stop Kansas as well.
That's on pace to score like 110 points in a game.
Well, they've struggled on the defensive end. They beat Texas A&M by 6 and shot 60% from the floor. That tells you got a little bit of problem defensively. A&M had 24 offensive rebounds that helped them in that game.
Trayvon Bryant will be going to the line. You know, Missouri's only had 1 field goal in the last 6 minutes.
They have gone so flat. Just shell-shocked out there right now.
Look at the difference a half makes, and you can go back to about, I would say, the 12-minute mark of that first half. That's when Kansas started their comeback. Missouri came out smoking. And Trayvon Bryant now. Tigers can't hit anything. Free throws, field goals, anything.
And you know, I made the remark about the offensive side being the problem for Missouri. They scored 18 points in the first 8 minutes of this game. They've scored 28 points ever since. And it's, you know, they're putting their defense in a bad position by some of the shot selection down here on the offensive end.
And Bryant, normally a pretty good shooter. Misses both free throws. Simeon. He can't miss. Wayne Simeon. He's closing in on a career high, folks. He's got 27 right now. 28 is his career best against Michigan State earlier this year.
I'll tell you what, if a guy's going to make those kind of shots, you better well just figure out it's time to go home.
Arthur Johnson will be going to the line. Graves just picked up his fourth. So Jeff Graves, who now has 4 fouls. Arthur Johnson will be going to the line.
Well, Jeff Graves just getting a hand on the elbow. Arthur Johnson shooting that top of the key jumper, something that Kansas has been willing to give him. And that's what makes it more frustrating for Kansas, is for Jeff Graves to foul him in a situation where they have allowed Arthur Johnson to shoot the ball from the top.
Just 4 points for AJ in the second half after scoring 15 in the first half. Shooting the Rock brought to you by Rock Greenlight, a low-carb premium light lager with only 2.4 grams of carbs. Boy, Missouri, look at that, just 32%. Kansas, a sizzling 56% from the field, and considering that they started like 1 for their first 8.
LKU shot 57% in Columbia on Sunday. Oh, nice pass. Aaron Miles. A little give to Keith Langford.
6 assists now for Miles.
Too easy. Missouri's got to regroup defensively.
The phrase "shooting fish in a barrel" comes to mind. Kroenke, that 3 won't go. Nice rebound. Well, it was for a second for Bryant, and it's tipped out by Simeon, and we've got a timeout. Frustrating so far for Missouri. 7:41 to go, but Kansas on a roll. Miles with a great dish to Langford to up the ante to 70-48. Back after this from your friends at Phillips 66. Way from Missouri, leading 70-48. Take a look at our assist leaders, brought to you by Cargill. Collaborate, create, and succeed. And when you think of assists, you think of one guy, Aaron Miles.
He can make it happen, Kenny.
He
6
will.
assists. Jimmy McKinney 2.
Miles, when he comes back for his senior year, sometime about midway through, he will break the record of Jacques Vaughn for all-time assists.
No question. All 6 of those assists, by the way, here in the second half for Kansas. Pretty nice record that they'll hold there. There's been a few point guards that are pretty good that have gone through Kansas.
Trayvon Bryant hits a 3, and Missouri might have to start relying on a few of those to get back in this thing.
19 down. They got to figure out a way to stop Kansas defensively first.
That's one way to do it. Cover the back door. Kroenke for 3. Hey, 2 threes in a row for the Tigers. And a quick timeout by Kansas. So Missouri draws up a couple of 3-pointers, one from Bryant, one from Kroenke. And just like that, it's a 16-point game.
Well, Bill Self trying to refocus Kansas, get back to doing what they were doing, but Missouri just trying to find some kind of spark to get them to go. And you take a look at their resume, it's pretty tough. This was a game that I think a lot of people talked about that Missouri had to win to get them in. 46 RPI, 9-7 in the Big 12. Tough losses, probably the thing that's going to hurt them. 16-12 overall record. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to get them in. I think this is a key game for Quinn Snyder's team. They have to win here tonight, probably play well tomorrow, really to have a good look at getting in the NCAA tournament.
All right, we'll see if they can come back in this one. Trailing by 16 with just over 7 minutes to go.
Well, they're a team that throughout the season has shown the ability to make a big comeback late. Sometimes it takes a big kick in the head for these guys to figure out that they've got to start playing and doing things the right way. Once they get that collective energy going, they're a pretty athletic and able team.
And you remember in Columbia, the Jayhawks had a 10-point lead with 5 minutes to go, and Missouri came back and actually took the lead for a brief time.
And if I remember correctly, they threw the ball into Arthur Johnson every time to whittle away on that 10-point lead.
Another foul on Kansas. So Arthur Johnson with 20 points in this game, and here it's the penetration.
Gadget late coming over for the help. Ricky Paulding
2 shots.
looking for some way to get something going for Missouri. Struggling again, 7 points tonight, had 9 points the last time these two teams met.
Ricky Paulding, man, his mom said, always followed the rules. When he was a toddler, she used to draw a circle around him and said, all right, don't leave the circle. And she'd leave and come back a little while later, and he'd be right in that circle. He never strayed from the circle. She said, I knew then this is a kid that was going to follow the rules. Very, very coachable, according to Quinn Snyder, Ricky Paulding.
Well, he had a great finish to last year and a lot of high expectations for him this year. I think maybe those expectations a little bit higher than maybe he was capable of doing this year. He's a guy, though, that has really tried to do the right things for Missouri. This team, for whatever reason, has just not been able to find a way to click a full 40 minutes consistently.
And I think one of the big reasons they haven't really had a true point guard all season long.
Yeah, no question about it. You know, a lot of times people look at what Missouri's done over the last few games and they say, well, as soon as Linus Claesen went out of the lineup and they shortened down the number of players, this team was better. And actually, that's exactly dead wrong. The difference was Randy Pulley left the team and they started playing Conley a little bit more, and he was better for him at the guard spot. All of a sudden you had some guys that no longer had the pressure maybe of Linus Claesen coming and pushing them. They played a little more loose, but Linus Claesen is going to be a great one in Missouri.
Absolutely. And with Pulley, it was like playing 4-on-5 because nobody respected his offense at all.
Yeah, and it's tough for a point guard that you're not going to guard him at all on the perimeter. And I don't think Pulley was good enough putting the ball down on the floor to make up for that. Aaron Miles has the ability to get inside the lane, and if you don't respect his jumper, he can dribble up, close up the gap, and get inside the lane and create something for somebody else.
A little bit of a run here by Missouri. They're inching closer and closer. And again, remember that 10-point deficit the other day in Columbia. So all hope is certainly not lost for the Tigers here tonight.
Another great night by Arthur Johnson. Problem is he hasn't been getting the ball about the last 6 or 7 minutes. But don't forget, though, this Kansas team also has an ability to turn the switch off and go dormant for a while as well.
A 10-0 run by the Tigers. Simeon, he'll break that little run for Mizzou. Simeon with a career-high 29 now. Conley can't get it to go. Giddens. Back-to-back good possessions for Kansas to pull away and get a little more breathing room.
And as J.R. Giddens keeps continuing to add that ability to put the ball down on the floor and pull up for that jumper, he is really going to make himself one of the best in the conference. He can shoot the ball from the three, obviously, as we've seen, but that ability to stop and pop makes you all that more effective.
Johnson, a chip shot inside. 14 points the lead for Kansas. I agree with you about Giddens. He's one of the most improved guys in the conference.
No question. From the start of the season to now, it's just amazing how far he has come.
Giddens again. J.R. Giddens putting this team on his back right now.
And a tough matchup for Kroenke to try and guard J.R. Giddens. J.R. Giddens has the size to shoot right over the top.
Ball goes out of bounds off the Conley miss.
Ricky Paulding returns for Missouri.
So Kansas will get it back. J.R. Giddens walking with a little strut right now as Giddens with 15 points tonight. He has 3 3-pointers, 3 of the 4 hit by the Jayhawks. Whistle as the pass comes inside to Graves.
You know, I continue to try and figure out what Missouri is trying to do inside, guarding the post. Trayvon Bryant had Jeff Graves where he wanted him, but then he continued to front him when Jeff Graves went to the free throw line. Jeff Graves is not going to hurt you shooting 15-footers. He's got to let him have that spot up top, reposition, get behind. Kansas continues to ride Missouri up in the paint and get that lob pass underneath.
And 4 fouls now on Trayvon Bryant. Graves 11 points tonight. One of his better showings of the year.
Well, he's been active on the offensive end, something I don't think you've seen a whole lot from him so far this season. You get Jeff Graves scoring some points for you, and you know you're going to have Wayne Simmons 20+. And it's going to be pretty tough to stop.
How about 6 of 6 free throws for Jeff Graves?
Pretty good when he comes in shooting 59% on the season.
His family loves it, including his brother Robbie. Boy, they are very, very tight, very close-knit family, the Graves. And they've come all the way to Dallas to watch Jeff have, I think, his best game really of the year for the Jayhawks.
Well, last year in Dallas was the coming-out party for Jeff Graves as well. It was tremendous in this tournament last year. Went on to have good success in the NCAA tournament.
Under 4 to go now. Kansas trying to beat Missouri for the 3rd time in a row this year.
Now, I just don't think Missouri is good enough on the defensive end to throw away opportunities on the offensive end. They've got to be more frugal with their attempts on the offensive end, and so many times we've seen them come down the floor and take a quick early shot, or somebody try and drive the lane against 4 Kansas defenders. And if you've got a weakness, which is on the defensive end, you've got to hide it a little bit. They have not been able to do that.
Gardner with 4 fouls. He joins Bryant in that 4-foul category. Michael Lee hits them both, and an 18-point lead. So you got a Kansas fan and a Texas fan. Will that be the matchup in the semifinal tomorrow? It's looking that way right now. Turning this game on a dime. Jeff Graves having a great game for the Jayhawks, who lead by 18. Let's go to our Cialis memorable moment.
Well, J.R. Giddens, second half, a deep 3. And really, after this, it was all Kansas. Kansas used that to a 9-point lead and never looked back. And J.R. Giddens, I don't think he realized how deep he was, Dave, on that shot.
I'm not sure either. He was a good, what, 25, 28 feet? Trayvon Bryant tries another 3. That won't go. Langford's got it. Well, Missouri came in trying to control their own destiny with regards to the NCAA tournament. Now with a loss here tonight, they are definitely in the hands of the selection committee.
Yeah, no question. They're going to have some good things happen around the country.
Johnson.
Arthur Johnson.
Well, Arthur Johnson, just not enough looks. Thought Missouri had a nice game plan early. Threw the ball inside to Arthur Johnson, let him go to work on Jeff Graves, picked up 2 fouls on Graves and put him on the bench. But then all of a sudden it seemed like Missouri forgot about Arthur Johnson. Started bringing him out up high.
And not enough help, too. Not enough looks and not enough help. He is the only guy, Johnson, in double figures for the Tigers.
Josh Conkey is for his personal foul.
And Jeff Graves, our Cooper Tire Defensive Player of the Game. Johnson down to 8 points in the second half after scoring 15 in the first half.
You know, that's not such a bad number. I mean, Arthur Johnson is a heck of a post player.
I think what we want to say is he held Arthur Johnson to 26 tonight.
Yeah.
That's a good job compared to last Sunday.
At 37 Sunday.
Yeah. And Arthur Johnson just,
but you know,
love his game. I love his game. I'm going to miss him in the Big 12. Simeon. Right now you can just see the Tigers are back on their heels.
They're done. They are cooked and over. They just can't hardly believe what has happened to them here tonight.
Kroenke. Johnson fighting to the end. And he'll go to the line. Quinn Snyder just left with his thoughts, wondering what's going to happen on Selection Sunday. And then if they aren't selected into the NCAA tournament field, trying to pick up the pieces of this team and play in the NIT. Jeff Graves going out. The congratulations. Look at that. A hug from Bill Self.
You know, Jeff Graves has actually got a bad reputation based on the problems that he has had at Kansas. His problems haven't been anything criminal in nature at all. Haven't been anything that he's been a bad guy. It's just that he's needed a little redirection, needed to be focused a little bit more. If he misses a class or is late for something, it's a little different than, you know, somebody doing something criminal. And Bill Self says that he's one of his favorite guys on the team. He's a funny guy. The guys love him in the locker room. It's just that every once in a while you need to get him refocused, and they had to do that at Nebraska. He didn't suit up in that game, and ever since then he has been tremendous.
And a focused Jeff Graves makes Kansas a whole lot better.
There's no question about it. He makes this team so much more effective with his size and presence inside.
And the Rock Chalk chant going up here from American Airlines Center.
You also have to give credit, though, to Bill Self. What a tremendous job he has done here. You know, you come into a situation at Kansas, back-to-back Final Fours. You got lottery picks playing that now graduate. And Kansas fans aren't very forgiving, a little unrealistic as well. This team finishes second in the Big 12. 21 wins now, and you know, a little bit of grumbling. I think Bill Self has done a tremendous job. It might be the job, I mentioned this to him earlier, that gets most overlooked as his career goes. Once he gets more players in there, gets more of a bench, he'll be more successful. You know, if they win a Big 12 title, he'll be Coach of the Year. But maybe the job that he's done this year will probably be the one that he looks back and says he did a heck of a job.
Amen. I ditto those comments. Slapped away. Here comes Miles. No basket. Miles will go to the line. And Kansas right now, if you're a Jayhawk fan, take note. The Jayhawks are by far and away playing their best basketball come tournament time.
Well, no question, Kansas is starting to finally put it together.
Two shots.
They are playing much better as of late. Stop that 4-game road losing streak by winning in Columbia. You know, sometimes wins aren't real indicative of how you're playing based on your schedule a little bit. But for Kansas, when you watch them play against Oklahoma, all of a sudden you started to see it click for them on the defensive side, the intensity all the time. It's taken a little time for this Kansas team to figure out how to play. They had some guys last year that they could rely on, and Kirk Heinrich and Nick Collison, they could ride their back, and they haven't had that luxury this year.
Both these teams clearing their benches now. Wayne Simeon had himself great day. 31 points for Simeon, along with 11 rebounds. Another double-double for him.
Jeff Hopkins in for the Jayhawks.
So Miles with a couple more. He'll leave now. With a minute 35 left in this one. Kansas pulling away from Missouri. And what all the experts will tell you, dashing the Tigers' hope for making the NCAA tournament. That seems to be the heavy speculation anyway. They're certainly in the hands of that selection committee on Sunday.
Yeah, this might be helpful actually for Colorado. There was speculation about Colorado, and even in the 4th spot in the Big 12, maybe not getting in if Missouri makes the run, but Missouri isn't able to do it.
So Nash out there now getting some playing time along with Jeremy Case. We have some technical problems in our truck right now. Our switcher, what we call our switcher, the one thing that we push all the buttons to take the different cameras, is acting up on us in the closing moments here from Dallas. We apologize. Three-pointer is good from Jeremy Case. Bill Self, a smile as His dominance over Missouri continues. 6-0 now for Bill Self against the Tigers.
Well, I think the question right now, too, for Missouri is where do you go from here? You thought that you'd turn the corner a little bit. And last few minutes of that first half and most of the second half has just not been what Missouri has to do to be a quality basketball team.
Ryan Nash able to get some points in his senior campaign. 92-67 Kansas. 30 seconds to go. Spencer Laurie can't hit. Our Phillips 66 player of the game on the alley-oop from Case to Nash. Our Phillips 66 player of the game, Wayne Simeon, who finished with a career-high 31 with 11 rebounds. And not only that, set the Big 12 tournament record for field goal percentage, 12 of 14 for Simeon. His seconds tick down as Young gets a two-pointer for Missouri, 94-69, and that should be the final score. What a dominant performance for the Jayhawks as they win going away. 94-69 after trailing by a dozen. So Bill Self, Quinn Snyder, they'll meet at center court. A dominant performance by the Jayhawks from around the 10-minute mark of the first half on.
It took them a little while to get going. We talked about that first game jitters a little bit for Kansas. Missouri, though, just could not put it together.
This ESPN Plus game is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of the 2004 Phillips 66 Big 12 basketball tournament. You can count on Phillips 66 quality Pro Clean gasoline. Cooper Tire, proud to be the official tire of the Big 12 Conference. Cooper Tires, don't give up a thing. Shelter Insurance, for your insurance needs, visit shelterinsurance.com to find the shelter agent near you. Seek shelter today. Infinity, makers of the full-size QX56. Whataburger, just like you like it. Isuzu, spin less, go farther with a full line of value-priced SUVs from Isuzu.
Well, I can't wait for tomorrow as the Jayhawks celebrate this one. Not much time to celebrate. They'll be taking on the Texas Longhorns in the second half of our doubleheader tomorrow, starting, Chris, with Texas Tech and Oklahoma State.
We're going to be some great matchups. Tournament has been fantastic so far. Can't hardly believe still that Oklahoma is not left in this thing. It's just so odd for them not to be here. But Kansas really got it going again. They are firing on all cylinders.
They certainly are. An impressive performance for J.R. Giddens, Wayne Simeon, and the rest of the Jayhawks as they win going away 94-69. For Chris Piper and our entire crew, Dave Armstrong saying so long till tomorrow.